Hello, welcome back to another FPL video. I hope everyone is doing well. Game Week 26 is all but coming to an end. We've only got a few games left to play. I'm actually filming this during the Spurs versus Fulham game, so we'll see what happens there. But, maybe you're sat there thinking, oh, Game Week 26, it's been a little bit meh. It's been very, very meh. And you're thinking, well, maybe I need to wild card out of it. Well, this is the place to be. I'm going to be just discussing a little template, little draft, or maybe, you're just thinking, you were always thinking of wild carding come game week 27 because you bench boost 26 and you're looking to just kind of get out of there with a wild card. But I'm just going to just creating a little draft, a little template for the games coming ahead. And if you're new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you do enjoy the video, and, daily FPL content right here, the place to be. Let's get straight on into this one then. So I've just gone and created a little kind of template to start us off with of players that I think should definitely be kind of built up in your team or should be there to start with. So we've gone for Harry Kane up front. He's been absolutely smashing it of late. Picked up a goal in their previous game against Burnley, and just the fact that, he's not been absolutely smashing it, but he's a really, really good captaincy option until the end of the season, and that's another thing I'll be discussing heavily over whether you should get the likes of, your Bruno Fernandez's or your Salah's will be captaincy. Are you going to captain them? And Kane is definitely a player you'll be looking to captain for a lot of games for the rest of the season, so he looks really good, and that combination of Dele Alli, Bale, Kane and Son. I have to completely forgot Kane's name then for a second. He's going to be absolutely great for the game that's coming up. So I think that Kane is a must-have. Then we've got Patrick Bamford and Rafinha. Can kind of combine those two together because the reasoning behind putting them in the kind of template is very similar, and that is because the game week 29 and game week 30, in fact, they have really good fixtures, but mainly the blank game week 29, they have a really good fixture against Fulham. Fulham have been better of late, but it's still one of the better fixtures on paper anyway, and you'd really want at least Bamford and Rafinha, in my opinion, for those games, so that's why those two guys are in there. Then you've got Gundogan and Diaz. Now, they actually have a double game week, City in game week 27, playing against Man United, playing against Southampton. Now, Gundogan has only actually played 10 minutes, he played a full 90 in the first game of the double game week 26, and then he only played 10 minutes in their second game. So that means that Gundogan is probably more likely to play in the double game week against United and Southampton, so even makes him a potential captaincy option as well. So I think Gundogan's really good for this game week, and Diaz as well has just been absolutely unbelievable. It doesn't look like he's going to get benched at all. Maybe we'll see a benching for him, but I can't see either Diaz or Gundogan getting benched in getting benched in the Manchester United game. We could see them getting benched in the Southampton game, but because Diaz just kind of seemingly can't be dropped and Gundogan had that rest, it would make more sense for Gundogan to play the Manchester United Southampton and then get benched in the game of 28 Fulham game. But yep, that's another discussion based on the Man City rotation there. And then we've got Martinez in goal. Not really too much to say about him other than he's been incredible throughout the season, picking up save points, bonus points, has good fixtures, has that blank game week 29, and also has a fixture in the locker as well against Everton. And that brings us quite nicely onto our third attacker, which is going to be Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa. Very similar reasoning in that respect to Martinez, is that he has that kind of fixture in the bank against Everton. So it's just a really nice one to hold, and he has quite good fixtures coming up. His form hasn't been too bad of late, and kind of, especially compared to a lot of the other attackers, he's been doing absolutely fine, offers good value, and also has a game week 29, and as I said, has also got a few times that fixture against Everton, which makes him a really good option, basically, if he's just going to have another fixture in the coming game weeks. Then let's move on to the midfield, and I feel like this is where you can make your team the most creative. With Ollie Watkins, there are other options as well. The likes of Antonio have quite good fixtures until the end of the season, and West Ham are really they're really gunning for the Champions League as well. But in terms of the rest of the midfield, that third midfielder spot, we're going to be looking at, I've kind of put that down as a 9 mil midfielder spot or 10 mil and below, and that really kind of puts, within that bracket, that puts the likes of Son, it puts the likes of Rashford, it puts the likes of Bale. Now, for me, Rashford has not been good enough to really compare them to Son or Bale, so Son and Bale are the main two that I'm going to be looking at, and they also have that game at 29 as well, so that works out really, really nicely. So in terms of who to pick out of the two, it just depends how risk averse you are. So if you are so if you want to play it safe, then go for Son. He will play every game, pretty much full 90 in every game. So if you want the guaranteed minutes, Son is your guy. I feel like Bale has a bit more of that X factor about him. He's got a bit more of that star quality. And after that 19-point haul, and if he goes against anything against Fulham, then I think people are genuinely going to be really going for him. I'm going to put Son in there for now, as out of the two, I still think that Son just about pips it, because we still don't know what kind of the future is for Bale, whether he's going to be playing kind of week in, week out, or whether he's going to be getting rotated. I feel like there will definitely be some rotation, but the points that Bale could get you could be incredible. So Bale, could be a very good option. Now this fourth spot is one that's up for a lot of debate, because I kind of had this one down as another premium, or just a premium option, basically, because we've not really got any premium options in the midfield so far. So, you've got the likes of Bruno, you've got the likes of Salah, or you've got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. Now, the one thing I will say about putting De Bruyne in this team is that you land yourself with 3 Manchester City assets, and you may be thinking, well, that's not particularly a bad thing. Well, because there's going to be a lot of rotation, Man City do not have a Gameweek 29, and they do not have a Gameweek 33. It means that you're going to get a lot fewer games throughout the season, throughout the rest of the season. So holding kind of 3 of their assets will mean probably in each week that at least one of them will probably be getting rotated. You'll probably won't actually have that many weeks where all of Diaz, Gundogan and De Bruyne will be playing. Now, I think this combination for the double game week could be quite good. So kind of De Bruyne can't have to be put in there with the plan of maybe transferring out Gundogan or De Bruyne in the coming game weeks. But with the comparison to the likes of Fernandes, Salah, how they've been playing of late, obviously Fernandes has had, a little bit of a dip in form. It's not been huge, just over the double game week. He just hasn't performed, and that's pretty much it. So I feel like maybe for me it's a little bit too early to jump off Fernandes because of the amount he can punish you. But I guess the same was being said about Salah, and he's not really punished anyone yet. And I think the main thing, as I mentioned previously, is about the captaincy. If you're going to keep Fernandes and not captain him for almost the rest of the season, then I think bringing in someone like De Bruyne, if you are going to captain him, could be a very good choice. But if you plan on potentially captaining Fernandes in the coming game weeks, then it definitely would be a hold for me on Fernandes. But De Bruyne definitely offers a decent alternative. I will say, though, that he hasn't, had really big hauls this year, even when he has been playing. He's mainly just been getting an assist with a couple bonus points, and that's about it. But De Bruyne still offers a little bit more of that kind of X-Factor quality, and a big haul is probably on its way with penalties as well. So not a bad option. Now, the 5th option, the main man himself, coming in newly transferred for the Hammers. He has returned in 4 out of the last 5 games, or 4 out of the only 5 games he has played for this side, and that is Jesse Lingard, coming in at 6 mil. Never did I think at the start of this season that I would be I'll be thinking about bringing Jesse Lingard in. I think I'll be discussing him as a really good FPL asset, but fair play to the guy. He's come in and absolutely smashed it at West Ham. They're now gunning for the Champions League, and I think that Jesse Lingard genuinely is a really good option. Now, one thing to mention is he doesn't play in Game Week 28 because they play against Manchester United, and that is Jesse Lingard's parent club, so he won't be able to play because he's loaned out to West Ham. But they have a Game Week 27 against Leeds, so he could absolutely smash it there. And he also has a Game Week 29 fixture, which is a nice little bonus on top of that. And just generally, West Ham are really gunning for the Champions League. It'd be very nice to have one of their assets, and it'll be very nice to maybe have 2 of their assets. And that brings us onto our second defender, and that is going to be Aaron Cresswell from West Ham. Now, I very heavily debated about kind of whether to put him in the template squad of this team, solely because they don't have the best of fixtures coming up, and was why I didn't template him. But I think he's, as close, or, he could even be a better option than Diaz. I just think he's a really good option, and definitely should be in consideration to be in your teams. He's the highest scoring FPL defender. He's got the most assists, I believe, out of any defender in the Premier League this season, and has generally just been absolutely smashing it. And I'm looking to get both Lingard and Creswell into my team for the back end of the season. They look absolutely great. They're not in any other competitions other than the Premier League, so they can really, really gun for the Premier League. There's not going to be any rotation to worry about. They can just absolutely go for it. So Creswell and Lingard for me offer really, really, really good value. Now, with the next kind of two spots, this is where the kind of, I guess, creativity for me in the defender spots comes. This is where you really kind of make it your own, or just kind of depends on what your plans are. You could go for the likes of Cancelo if you move one of Gundogan or De Bruyne. You could go for Wan-Bissaka or the likes of Shaw, because Manchester United, when they play against big six sides, or when they're playing in the tougher fixtures, they actually tend to come out with 0-0 results. Only 2 of their matches this season against big six sides have not ended 0-0. So actually, if you have a big six defender who play against Manchester United, or you own a Manchester United defender playing against a big six side, you should probably be playing them. And Manchester United's fixtures, although they don't look good on paper, with that kind of statistic for a defender, they actually do look quite good. It's their attackers you would probably be avoiding. For that reason, I'm going to lob a Wan-Bissaka in there. Now another player, kind of similar, or you could go for, just to mention, you could also go for Luke Shaw, who looks really, really good. Wan-Bissaka's in there just because, he's not going to get rotated at all, basically, out of that right back spot. Another player who I think looks really, really good is Ricardo Pereira. Now, you may be thinking, Leicester, they've not really been keeping too many clean sheets of late. They conceded against Burnley within 4 minutes. It really wasn't great for them. But Leicester have a lot of injuries and a lot of players actually coming back from injury. We saw Fofana come on for the last half an hour of that Leicester-Burnley game, really kind of shored the defence up and allowed Ndidi to move into the midfield, where he is much better and can really kind of stamp his mark in that midfield. We also have Johnny Evans, should be coming back hopefully pretty soon. He missed the game. I think it's a little tweak. I don't think it's too bad. And Maddison also, kind of in terms of from an attacking perspective, and just kind of releasing the defence, I guess, from their defensive duties, should be back pretty soon. And I think just towards the end of the season, it's a very good idea to own a Leicester player. And obviously, but it obviously does depend on your kind of plans. You could go with Dallas if you want to kind of target a Gameweek 29. I'm just going to lob Dallas in there for now because I do think he's a really good 29 option. But I'd say these two defender spots are really ones you can make your own. Go with the likes of Pereira, even Target. One thing to mention as well is that the likes of Robertson and Trent have really, really good fixtures coming up for the back end of the season, and actually brings us quite nicely into our last defender spot. And this is just going to be a complete kind of budget defender spot. We're going to go with Ben White for Brighton. Now, you could go for the likes of Veltman, or you could go for the likes of Burn. I've gone with White just because he's going to play week in, week out. You've got the likes of Lamptey coming back from injury, who could take that Veltman spot, or could even take Burn's place, and Veltman can move out to the side. I feel like Potter probably isn't too happy with Burn. He's playing as kind of like a left wing back or a winger, a 6'7" winger. It's not working too great, so I could see either Burn or Veltman getting rotated out pretty soon when Lamptey does come back. So with White, he just gives us that surety that he is going to play. Now, you could also, with one of these two spots, go for a much more kind of budget option. And what that will allow you to do is then, when the fixtures turn for the likes of Trent and Robertson, as I previously mentioned, and Salah as well. Well, when Liverpool's fixtures turn, it'll give you a lot more funds to kind of bring those guys in. You could go Son to the likes of Salah. You could go Wan-Bissaka up to Trent or Robbo, something like that, where you give yourself a bit of money, so you only need one transfer to make a move, rather than kind of having your money a bit too spread out and you're having to use two free transfers. By kind of giving yourself budget kind of bench players almost, you allow yourself to have a lot more money going forward. So to do that, I'd kind of take out one of Dallas or Wan-Bissaka and drop them down. You could even drop Dallas down to someone like Struijk at 4 million. Although he's not playing, although he looks like he is going to get rotated a bit, he still is playing. And that brings us on to the other goalkeeper spot. Now, With this spot, you can either just go for a formal third keeper, someone like Macy, who's just going to fill the spot, and Martinez, who's going to play week in, week out. I really like the idea of going with Leno. This is just my opinion. It's what I've done in my team. But if you go and have a look for yourself, Leno and Martinez rotate really, really nicely. I mean, unbelievably nicely until the end of the season. So I just think having that and kind of maximising your chances with the goalkeeper rotation. But you know, if you didn't get Martinez, at a really kind of cheap price, then it is quite an expensive rotation. 5.3 and 5 million. That's 10.3 million for rotating keepers. It is quite expensive. And you know, in those games where they play the likes of Liverpool or Manchester United, and they keep a clean sheet, we know that he's going to be picking up a lot of save points and bonus points as well. So maybe those are the games to play him in. But for the rest of the season, I think Leno and Martinez rotate very, very nicely. So this kind of brings us very nicely to the end of this wildcard draft. It's just a bit of a draft, a bit of a template. You can have quite a bit of a play about with the midfielder spot, the third striker spot, and this kind of last three defender spot. I'd mainly say that Martinez, Diaz, Creswell, Gundogan, Rafinha, probably Son in that as well, Kane and Bamford, and the main guys you should really be building the team around. And yeah, well, transition back on myself there. But yeah, this has been a quick little draft of a wildcard. Hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. Let me know down below in the comments if you're planning on hitting the wildcard for Gameweek 27 or just general ideas that you have for the Gameweek 27, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya. Have a good one.